That's normally what I drink.
Jeez.
Maybe once in a while some cream.
Why don't Gen Z and millennial drink black coffee?
Well, I mean,
That's what I was gonna say, but
well, growing up, when I started drinking coffee, there wasn't, Starbucks wasn't that big, I guess.
it was Dunkin'.
It was Dunkin', and it was just cream and sugar, milk and sugar. That was it. There wasn't hazelnut and whatever, French vanilla creamer and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, screw French vanilla.
And then Starbucks, I mean, they look at me weird when I order just a coffee. They're like, wait, what?
Oh, because you're not
It's
getting
the easiest
you're
order.
Not getting a venti cappuccino. Got
2
it.
pumps of
Understood.
that, 3 pumps of this.
Exactly.
Those are some complicated orders. I give it to those baristas because I'd be done.
I think there's a strike today planned because of how
How'd you get your Starbucks then?
well not the one in Dover, obviously. But,
They're
but
cool.
in other locations
Yeah, they're
because
chill.
of how stressful the job, and when you got 30 people in line and they're all each order is specific.
Yeah.
Like with 7 different
Oh, no, I
ingredients, and it's got
completely-
it's quick.
Absolutely.
Or if it gets it wrong, they get flipped out on by one of the people.
And then then you get a video made about how you didn't put 2 pumps of pumpkin spice in their drink.
Yeah,
and
they're going crazy on
and
the
they get
sideline about
fired.
it. Yep. Where's the coffee spot now? But you got a Starbucks. You're complaining about Starbucks. Is Starbucks still a spot?
Yes, because
Not Wawa?
I like.
You don't-
Oh yeah, I'll do. I just don't. When I don't want to get out of the car.
Man,
I know when I'm on the go.
you lenders.
But I like Starbucks better than Dunkin'. Wawa and Starbucks same level.
I like Wawa.
But again, I don't.
I can go get some food too.
That's true.
Get my gas.
True.
What?
Womp womp.
The is that? But black coffee's always been the way for you. Never cappuccino.
No, I
never,
mean,
never anything.
I'll do that every once in a while, but if it's work day, I need energy, fuel.
We'll go on the work. What's work for you? Introduce yourself. Say hi.
Marc Pierannunzio, Whitecap, Delmarva.
Mortgage officer
yeah.
for those that speak English.
Loan officer for Whitecap. We started this branch in April, the Dover location. The company's been around for a few years now. It's a brokerage, not a bank or a correspondent lender. So we have access to a lot more different products and,
Gotta roll myself.
generally better. There was a
I just looked
fuzzy
down.
there that I
Little
was
fuzzies.
staring at.
It was bothering me.
Pick up every single one of those.
It will pick up every single one.
Hey, it's unedited.
It's unedited. So 2000, we talked a little bit beforehand.
Yeah.
You got into the business 2007. That's where I want to get started. I was going to ask you this question, and then I kind of veered off because I didn't want to ask it then. What gave you the wherewithal to stand really in a fire? Because for those, 2008, the mortgage industry begins
Yeah.
to fall. 2009, 2010, 11 is really where the fallout happens. People always say 2008, but really the following, it wasn't good for a while.
Yeah.
All because people were writing loans to everybody, no matter the credit score, basically no matter the income, employment, and people that had mortgages shouldn't have had mortgages. To break it down really, really basically. You walk into that industry, into a fire that you probably didn't fully even understand just from only being in there.
No,
A year.
and I laugh about it. I was
Yeah, how did you get through that? What
cou-
made you want to keep making a career into that? That's really what my question
couple
is.
years out of school. Honestly, it's funny. I was just too stupid to know what was going on. I mean, now I would, looking back, I'm like, man, I went through some stuff, I guess. But single guy, young, didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I knew there was potential to, make money doing it. I
Did you
didn't
know anybody making money doing it?
Yeah, the guys that recruited me prior to 07, 08, I knew it was a career, and then I started doing it. And that's what made me stick with it is everyone kept saying, look, this is a rut. The housing industry always survives. The real estate market always survives. They just said, gut it out. You'll be fine. And again, then I didn't need to make a lot of money. It was just myself. I needed beer money. That's the truth. And I was just rolling with the punches. And, I saw a little glimpse of what was going on. And I didn't know any better. There was some bad lending going on. I mean, that's the truth.
Super bad.
People that couldn't shouldn't buy homes were able to get multiple homes.
Were you writing ninja loans?
Wasn't writing ninja loans. We did have a loan called Straight to Close.
What was that?
Where basically you got a contract. We would just pull credit. The credit hit a certain credit score. We would send up a pay stub with it, and it was called a Straight to Close.
No way.
If as long as the appraisal came in fine and title work came in fine, yeah.
Wow.
And again, I saw a small glimpse of that, and different times, man. I mean, after then, I mean, you guys have been through it. Getting a mortgage isn't as easy as it used to be, so that's why I don't ever think it's gonna.
Well, it's not difficult.
It's not difficult.
It's not straight to close.
It's not streamlined.
It's not a. So you would give one pay stub.
Yeah,
and if their credit was above,
I think a 640.
That's decent.
Yeah, and
so if they had a job for the last 2 weeks and it paid $2,000,
and honestly, where I was at, we were considered more of the strict end.
Really?
Yeah. So there was
on the credit score.
Credit score and just guidelines.
The whole thing.
I worked for a bank, and I knew there was other brokers, correspondent lenders that were with the adjustable rates and all that jazz that were just throwing it sideways.
Yeah.
And to go back to your point, I didn't really know it was a career until I made it through those bad years, and then I was like, oh, I made it through that. This can work.
Yeah.
And,
did that make when was it for you where you were like, all right, we've made it through it?
Probably, so 07, 08, we had a refi boom. We were doing what's called a HARP loan, where it didn't take, because loan to values got all screwed up once the market crashed.
Yeah.
Your $200,000 home was worth $150,000. After the financial crisis, so they came out with this HARP loan where you could refinance people, just to get rates tanked.
Get them out of water. Get them out from underwater.
Get them a better rate so they could afford. And I started doing a ton of refis. All my friends were calling me. And that's the good thing when you're a loan officer is when you, when you first start, and I say this to new loan officers, and I've heard you say it to people, use your sphere.
Yeah.
You got to let people know what you do. And I relied on family, friends to give me business to get, through some tough times. But once the refis kicked in and I was like, man, I can make an honest lip. Are you all right?
You good, dude?
It's the fourth time I've hit my head.
I know, man. I'm sorry.
He looks a little concussed.
Yeah.
Sean hit his head on the lights, moving to adjust the cameras.
Can't wait to get that set up.
Yeah.
But no, after probably 09, 2010 I was like, okay, this can work. I can do this. And there is satisfaction in getting, when you have someone that really wants to buy a home and they give you everything they got in it, the down payment, their credit's good. It is a good feeling, that you help them, get a home to live. It's an awesome feeling. I mean, that as an agent, So, but 09, 010, 3 or 4 years into
010.
it, 2010 is when
good old 010.
Kind of when I knew this is it. This is what I want to do. I can make this work.
I don't want to just zoom in on your career, but just what's it been like since then? Has it just been smooth sailing? You've grown?
Yeah, and no, it's never smooth. I mean, it's a little bit easier, I would say.
Easier in what sense?
People trust you. It's as a new loan officer, it's so hard to gain trust for a realtor. With a realtor, I should say. It's one thing if you have the connection and your friends, that's my boy, I'm going to send him business. But calling someone brand new that you've never met and trying to establish that trust when you're brand new, it's tough, man. You really got to gut it out.
That's tough. In your industry, really, you're relying on the relationship with
Correct.
the realtor. But in any industry, you got that first relationship you got to get with somebody. Like for us, we got to get the relationship with homeowners.
Correct.
Where a attorney may need to get a relationship with the person who's the first contact for a separation.
Correct.
Or a real estate attorney, they may be going after us, or a title company.
Correct.
But you managed to take the first 2, 3, 4 years of the career where you're really making those connections and finding those lead sources and building that sphere. All while probably, you can't lie and say there weren't a lot of people probably saying, "What are you even doing? This industry is jacked." Like,
yeah, I mean, and a lot of people got out.
Did you see that as a benefit to you?
Oh, absolutely. Just
Did it
like
scare you?
no. Again, it's one thing if you jump into it and you have 3 kids. It was just me. I was living at home. If I closed a loan, great. If not, all right, whatever. Like, I don't have any bills. I'm just and
I hear you.
You know, but at the same time, nothing was going on. Though a lot of loans weren't being written. That gave me time to call. That's one thing, like, I'll give myself credit. Like, I didn't care if you were a rookie. I didn't care if you were a 15-year vet. I was calling you. I had nothing to lose. What's the worst that could happen? No, get away from me. Okay. I called them the next day again. And then eventually they're like, this guy doesn't stop. I'm like, I got to go to lunch with him or something. You know, so downtimes is the time to prep, you know, for, you know, to get your name out there, you know, make contacts. That's why, you know, what we're kind of going through now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, look at it as an opportunity. Like, you have a lot of downtime. You should be getting in front of agents, getting in front of people that can refer you business. You know, if you can gut out this next year, you're good, man. That's how I see it.
Is gutting it out for the people on the other side of it that aren't in the real estate industry? You know, just the typical person looking at the house. Is gutting it out just, you know, holding out and waiting for rates to lower?
Well, I would say no.
Well, obviously,
yeah, that's what I do. But for multiple reasons. And, you know, we've had this conversation on the side. You know, you can renegotiate the rate.
That's fair.
You can't renegotiate the price you pay for the home, though.
But there's no guarantee a rate's going to drop.
There's no guarantee the rate's going to drop. But
historically, I hear what you're saying.
Historically, at some point, you're probably going to be able to get a better interest rate. But if you pay $300,000 for a home, you can't fast forward time and pay $250,000 for it.
Sure.
You paid $300 for that home.
Well, what if it's 8 years to get to that $250,000? And it's 6 years of paying that payment.
That's always the risk. But historically, the housing market, you know, there's ups and downs. There's ups and downs.
It's weird, though, right now.
Definitely weird.
Like, can we broaden?
But I'm excited. You should be excited.
I'm excited. I don't know. It depends on how weird we want this to get. Like, if we look at, like you said, historical terms, reasons to be excited. More lenders and more realtors that are fresh and or not fit for this market are going to quit. They're going to get part-time jobs. They're going to get out of here, which means even if there are less deals going around, there's less mortgages being written, there's less homes being listed. If there's less agents, that means there's still a sufficient amount of business to be had. And when there is an uptick in business, there's going to be less realtors and less lenders to do more business.
Correct.
So there's going to be more brand share. That's typical economical situation. Okay, yeah, 2 to 3 years, be excited. Way I look at it, though, there's a lot of things outside of just the real estate market that make me think, man, like, is real estate really going to continue to accumulate in 10 years, 20 years? You know, I'll bring up a few things. The petrodollar no longer getting utilized for the payment of oil.
Yeah.
That the BRICS Association basically kicking the United States out of the oil trade, or at least from being the one running the show. Yeah. We have inflation, which we just got really excited over a report that showed that we had a 0.1% slowdown in relation to how much we thought it was going
Probably
to
a slight overreaction on that.
Slight overreaction. Yeah. Patrick was sitting here. He's like, my stocks went up. I was like, why'd your stocks go up? And literally, that was it.
Well, and
it's just like the long term, the futures are what investors are looking at, and when they can see a brighter path ahead, it usually signals more money going into the stock market.
Yep.
But there's a lot of weirdness going on. Sean and I talked about this too, just in the technological information age that we're in right now. Just via TikTok, you know exactly what's going on, you know, in Israel and Hamas. You know exactly, you know, about the French Revolution that was going on 3 months ago. But these mainstream platforms are feed a narrative. And over the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of people have been finding out more about their bodies and what to put in them, what not to put in them. Medications, what to put in, what not to put in. You know, what different types of water, how it affects your body, different types of spirituality, how most religions are connecting to a similar trend. It's just like, is the world going to continue operating the same way it is right now 20 years from now? And that's a weird thing to look at.
No, but it didn't operate 20 years ago. It
Yeah,
was
but there's
different, too.
lifestyle choices that are changing. Like, for instance, like, we keep building houses, right? We need to build houses. We need inventory.
Correct.
That's not a question. We need homes. But we're moving into a world where boomers are close to death. The silver age is close to retirement, meaning they're going to sell off their big 4,500 square foot home to go find the rancher they're going to retire on. And Gen Z is not ready to buy. Millennials locked into their low rates. And meanwhile, there's a lot of kids sitting at their families' homes right now that are just tacking on years, wondering when they're going to be able to buy a home. If all of this kind of measures out to where the bottom side can't buy and the top side has a lot to sell, could that lead to a lot of
Pain.
price decreases? Yeah,
Well,
pain. Yeah, pain.
It's going to have to. And again, it's not. This isn't like maybe not even a year or 2 year fix. Mm-hmm. But there's always still going to be people that have to buy. There's always going to be people that need to buy, and there's always going to be people that want to sell, no matter what.
It just doesn't.
Regardless,
the price may not be what
now,
you want it to be.
What you were getting at, you and I have talked about this before. Until that first time home buyer comes back, we're probably stuck in this. Until that price point is down, maybe a mixture of rates and price, to where we have so many pre-approvals. You guys have so many buyers.
Hundreds, yeah.
That
Hundreds.
First-time home buyers that they have the credit, they have the money, they just are losing out on offers. Until that balances out to where these first-time home buyers can get rid of these people or homes that for clients that want to move up and not laterally or downgrade, we're probably stuck in this. And again, it's not quick. It's maybe a year, 2 years out.
What's the fix? So we'll stick to the short term. What fixes it in that 1 to 2 year?
The short term is probably everyone's easiest answer is rates. But we both know if rates come down, prices are going to go up. So I actually don't know that answer. Now, it's probably a combination of rates and decreasing of value, which I don't know when that's going to happen. Because decreasing in value. I'm sorry, of our price.
You're saying the one side of it is if we were to keep rates high, that eventually prices
would probably drop.
Which we're already showing. We've shown signs of that. I wish we could pull up the data, but we've already shown signs of that in October.
Sean.
October leading into November just because of the interest rates.
Yeah.
We did have a little overreaction. Now we're in like the 7.25 range again.
Yeah.
But it seems between like 7.5 and 7, we don't see much progress made in lowering prices.
Yeah.
So if we hang out here, it doesn't seem like much is going to get done. And if we go below that, you're right.
Bam.
More buyers, more competition.
Now.
Absolutely. And now we have more people that can afford the payment outside buying properties. We have lines run open houses again. And prices start surging.
Well, you saw the data when rates dropped last week into this week, mortgage applications picked up.
Yep.
And, like Sean and I were talking about, we had a really busy week. Now, just because we got applications doesn't mean it's going to pan out to anything. Sure. But it does make a difference. But again, you still have to find that, that little window of prices coming down and rates coming down to where it's not, for this to change. And I don't know when that's going to happen.
It seems like a long game. If it doesn't seem like something that can happen quickly.
Well, we're in this for the long haul.
Of course. Of course. But speaking to not just us, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because that to me is a terrifying feeling of if I've made it to the age of, 26, 36, 46, and I haven't put my name to a piece of dirt.
Yeah.
Not just does that stink because you're not gaining equity for living somewhere, which is essentially what home ownership is just making money for living somewhere. You're getting into a world where renting is getting harder too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like one's getting harder without the other.
Well, you were leading into this point too. Your people are just getting sick of it too. You have these clients that are
sick of it.
They can afford it and they're like, they give in, which is not, it is what it is. They give in. They're like, I'm going to have to make this extra $200 work. You know, they've been on the sideline for 6 months waiting for that right opportunity, which I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing to do, but people, that's what they're doing. They're like, I can't keep doing this anymore. I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to cut out other expenses to make sure I can make this extra, $100, $200 that I didn't want to do, make it work. So that's a little scary too, but it's better than renting. You know, they're like, okay, either I pay $2,000 in rent or I pay $2,100 to own the home. What would you do?
Yeah, if the difference is that minuscule, yeah. The big thing is happening, though, is a lot of people that pay $2,800 to rent and can't get a mortgage.
Yeah, that's an issue too. For multiple, credit or income, or you're not looking at debt to income on a rental.
So why is it we look at things like if you're going to get a mortgage, you're going to look and see if you've made your last 12 mortgage payments? Why isn't there something saying, hey, if I can see you've made your last 12 rent payments of X amount, that
like we can use to count it? Or
yeah, because you look at that, if you're pulling a credit report and you see I own a home and hey, 8 months ago you missed a payment, that hurts your opportunity to get a mortgage. Why can't the opposite be done?
We do.
To say, hey, your last 12 months of rent payments have been made, but to a more extreme degree, that for whatever qualifications, obviously there need to be restrictions and qualifications around it, but you should be able to be approved for the amount you're already paying in rent.
That I agree with. And there are cases where we do a verification of rent. If someone's tight on, it's called a compensating factor. If someone's tight on debt to income ratio, we look at outside things. Do they have maybe a stream of income we can't use on, you know what I mean? Like they just don't have the history with it.
Are you allowed to tell me like what's the weirdest form of? You don't have to tell me whose it was, but like, what are you doing to the mic?
It's the weirdest form of side income. Well,
just over here ripping up the mic. What are you doing?
I'm trying to get it.
You sound great, dude.
All right.
Put it farther from me. That'll work. All that just
well, you know what it probably is. I mean, it's like the OnlyFans stuff. I mean, that's a real thing.
Have you had people get fully qualified for mortgages off that?
Not based on that. Not like as their primary.
But as supplementary?
Yes.
And they still have to do that for 24 months before you're able to count that?
I believe so.
Wow,
it wasn't my loan. It was someone else in the office. We were able to count it. It was on taxes. It was taxed. They claimed it. And they had been doing it for the length of period that was required.
2 years.
And it wasn't like thousands of dollars or it was, a couple $100 that it helped.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, obviously that's the easy one my brain goes to. Like, do you have anybody that trained kangaroos for money or something weird?
Not recently. I'm trying to think. Nothing off the wall. Just, some weird businesses here and there, but nothing you guys haven't. Yeah, nothing weird.
Yeah.
Not lately anyway.
Yeah.
None that I can remember.
And we'd never sit here and disclose anything. And as I'm sure in your brain, we have certain things that are just locked up. Like, hey, this will never be talked about ever again for life. But
the only
without names, there's always some interest. Like I had one person, they owned a monkey. It lived halfway between their house and their spouse's house. And they had a room specifically set up for this. He's like this tall. I saw pictures of him. I didn't actually see him. I was like, "What's his room for?" He's like, "Oh,
it's my monkey."
I forgot his name. It was like Minkum or something. It was something weird, like Minka. So I can't disclose information, but I don't know the name. And they had a monkey, and I was like, "That's weird." But they apparently, for some way, reason, shape, or form, like actually made money for having them. So I don't know if it was like an adopted foster monkey or.
Was it like a what's it called? Where you go and pet animals?
A petting zoo?
The petting zoo where they had a monkey.
Are you asking if their home was a petting zoo?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know how you make money off that, or you come take a picture with it. I don't know.
I thought maybe it was like a per diem for like taking.
You can rent it, rent the monkey for a day. Haven't seen that.
Maybe the monkey had like. He's got stomach issues. He's got to wear a diaper. So like, hey, we'll give you diaper supplies for his food.
I have no clue.
Thought they were in a petting zoo
Maybe.
at their house.
I don't know.
Walk up to
I'm
the back
thinking.
window, just like pet her.
I think mine's better than yours. Like
Your monkey's better than mine?
no, my idea of having a petting zoo, then they're a foster family getting
I
money
think mine
for
exists.
diapers.
Mine exists, I believe.
In here, America.
Yeah, in America.
I would do that job. Then I'll take a monkey and I'll get.
You're not going to get income for it. Like, you're not going to make a profit off it. They're just going to give you
Well, then
enough to take care of
I
it.
don't want to do that then. I didn't know there was foster monkeys.
Where's foster everything? Well, they got the whole spot up in, was it Smyrna? It's like 12 Palms, 13 Palms Zoo. It's literally, I don't want to compare it to Tiger King because that's a little rude because they like animals and stuff. But this is like, it's not a zoo. It's a preserve. It's in a field out in Smyrna. And it's pretty cool. They got like a bunch of different ducks and different geese that run around. They got 2 alligators. They got pigs and goats. Yeah, they got a big tortoise that walks around too. They got donkeys, ostriches. And they're all up there. But most of them are there because they can't survive in the wild.
Got it. Okay.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking is the monkeys.
That's why the monkey's there.
Well, that's why the monkey's there. Nah, they don't have monkeys though. They
Got
should
it.
get a monkey. I wish they had them. They have a cow, but they do not have a monkey. Maybe one day. But yeah, they got foxes.
That transitioned quick.
Is there anything in Delaware like you've never heard of that spot?
No, I never heard of the 12 Palms or
I
whatever.
think it's 13 Palms.
13 Palms.
Perfect opportunity. When was Wells Fargo founded? Is that one of those early 1900s,
It's like 1800s.
1800s?
That's what the little
Old-
like the wagon, the
old
train
British
wagons.
money.
Yeah, the train
Yeah.
wagons. That's how they. There was a movie that they were in. It was a Russell Crowe movie. I forget the name of it. 310 to Yuma.
Who's?
310 to Yuma is the name of the movie.
How do you spell that?
Like
Yuma?
the time 310 to Yuma. Yuma.
Oh, to Yuma.
Yeah.
Got
So I
it.
guess there was a train robbery because they had the Wells Fargo trains or the whatever the.
That made the money move.
Yeah, that made the money move, and that was the name of the movie. And they arrested.
They should have called it "Made the Money Move."
Correct. They arrested a bank robber. He had to catch a train. It was 310 to Yuma. It's a good movie. You should see it.
The world seems like a more fun place to live where you could get your train robbed. And I guess we do have train. I guess you could get your train
No one's
robbed.
robbing a train.
No
now.
one's robbing the coal out of the train
But
today.
no phones. Life was a lot simpler then. You
That-
could rob
exactly.
a train.
You could rob. Isn't that wild? Just 20 years ago.
Let's rob a train.
Just 20 years ago, if you get a wreck and you didn't happen to have a Motorola Razr yet, out in the middle, you couldn't tell anybody. You had to walk to a gas station, and that just sounds
You
like
didn't see that. I saw a little bit of that.
Well, I saw a little bit of
Yeah.
it. I
Payphones and
Yeah, I saw. I didn't drive with it. The moment I had a driver's license, my mom gave me a flip phone. But
Yeah.
I'm happy to have come up as a kid at the very least into high school, and through high school without social media really being crazy.
Yeah.
And then even through high school, we didn't have smartphones.
Yeah.
A couple
So you
kids,
couldn't- you
a
weren't
couple
on
kids had
Facebook
like the
and-
Sidekick or like the original iPhone, which didn't even have real
You
internet.
just go online,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, you couldn't even do
Yeah.
anything. So I'm really happy I got through high school without that. But having been a part of it and a part of the growth
Yeah.
of this, I find it kind of an advantage.
I didn't
But
have a.
I think things were simpler back then.
I didn't have a cell phone until I was 21.
So what would like this guy
I knew there was going to be a reaction to that.
nerd?
No, they existed, but they weren't like. It wasn't.
There wasn't a purpose.
You used to got
Throw 'em
in
in
a
a
car
bag,
like
throw 'em in a bag.
You had to call someone. You had to get out. Hope you had a quarter.
What amazes me is in the late 80s, they had cars you can get in your phone, or phones you could get in your car.
Yeah.
It just
And
seems before its time.
And you know what's funny about those? If you talk to anyone that had those car phones, the satellite phones, best reception ever.
They said they loved it.
Super expensive,
Yeah.
like $8 a minute.
I've heard of two people that had it. Both said they loved
You could
it.
be in anywhere,
Yeah.
in Antarctica, and you were making that call was going through.
And that's like, that makes sense. You should have communications from a
Yeah.
vehicle. Like you're traveling with this 2-ton piece of
Yeah.
metal death if you
Yeah.
don't drive it right.
Yeah.
You should have something to alert somebody.
Well, yeah, the satellite phones, they work pretty good. Like out, if you go deep sea fishing or whatever, you can always get a signal
Do
with
you go
them.
deep sea fishing a lot?
Been a while, but
Been a while.
been a long while. But no,
your fisherman's accent
you
came
can
out.
legit get like you can make a phone call, 100 miles out where your cell phone has no service.
But But if I drove my car 100 miles out into the ocean, I could still make my phone call. You know what kills me with yards? Back to golf. You ever sat in a baseball field and realized, oh, this is a pitching wedge?
Oh yeah, it's feet.
A home run is like a par 3.
Yeah,
isn't that so weird?
You know what? 300 feet is what 100.
100 yards.
100 yards.
If you sat at home plate at a baseball field with a driver and a ball on a tee,
get out of the stadium.
You destroy. Yeah. You'd be 2 blocks over.
Yeah, I think my buddy did this. They set up a par 3.
They're doing it.
Field.
They're doing it tonight in Philly or tomorrow in Philly.
Oh, they are. Yeah, so you can play.
Yeah, Top Golf.
You know.
But
they have top. They're doing Top Golf there.
It's like a Top Golf top level or something like that. Yeah, where they're able to chip and pitch down onto the baseball field, which is just the coolest idea. Until someone irons one into the parking lot.
I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite course in Newcastle County?
Newcastle County, man.
I said Rock Manor.
Deerfield.
Deerfield's nice.
Deerfield's nice, and I love that every shot's different. I'm gonna screw up shots regardless.
I played there with you.
Yeah.
That first hole where you walk
up
it's like
and
a
then
bowl.
down to the left.
It's like legit a bowl.
It's always going to be a different round of golf. I played like 3 or 4 times. I want to play there more because I'm always going to have bad shots. That's going to happen even if I play the flattest course on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to screw up shots. But for now, eventually.
Yeah.
At least with Deerfield, with all of the shots pretty much not being normal, I'm going to walk away, like you said, with like 5 or 6 shots. It's like, man, I really hit that one where it was like up at my hip level and I had to like contort my body. I still got that. Like, so you get more opportunities to take those shots, but normally that just leads to a higher score.
Yeah, and that course is it's interesting. Like it's not the same flat.
No, you don't feel like you're in, you don't feel like you're in Delaware.
You
10th tee. You remember the 10th tee?
No.
10th tee is like 120 feet up. So water on your left, but you're legit like 120 feet above the fairway.
Yeah. I don't remember the hole by hole. I've only played there once, but
you telling me you don't have a photographic memory of our experiences together?
I know exactly what you're talking about. The 10th hole. No, but I remember we rode the course.
Yep.
But the next day my calves hurt. That's when you know there's elevation.
Tons.
You know?
Isn't it undulation? Undulation?
Whatever it is.
Well, there is some elevation. Don't touch my feet.
I was up and down. You're walking up and down a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Which is tough for me right now. But.
Oh, yeah, your foot.
Yeah, stupid leg. It's actually my leg.
Your leg. Your foot was fine.
My foot, thankfully, is actually fine. They even said that. They said, you're probably looking at an 8-month recovery if your metatarsals and tarsals are. Tarsals or carpals in your foot. Do you know? I don't know. No, it's it's carpal tunnel syndrome when it's in your hand, so it's got to be tarsals in your toes.
Makes sense.
Tarsals for toes. But
you're better now.
I'm getting there. I still can't run. I can't jump. Definitely can't jump on one foot.
Is that your leg or is that just age?
No, it's my leg. Because my right leg,
you got to insert a sound effect there.
No, boing, 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 boing. The foot, asshole. The foot's fine. No, and on my right leg, I can do all that stuff. Like I can do like a one-legged squat on my right leg and stuff like that. But it took away a lot of the strength, and I'm working to get that back now. Is really what I'm working on.
Yeah, because you went like 3 months with doing nothing on it.
So that July 3rd was when it happened. July 5th, I sat down for reconstructive surgery. They put the bar in. Actually, I put it back. I got it back on like the floor walking. It's like August 15th. So it's like a month and a half or so. They told me it was going to be 2.5 months, 3 months. So I beat that, which I was happy about. But I was still walking around with like a crutch. Assistant.
Trying to beat Aaron Rodgers over here, right?
He's crazy.
He might play.
That's crazy. He can't. I'd like to say he didn't really pull his Achilles. And again, another amazing moment, Sean, for if you could pull up a video, to watch this slow-mo of him getting hurt, you can see it pop. Have you seen that video?
Yeah, where you see it come a little loose,
Come a little loose. I mean, you saw it like a rubber band.
Dude, but from what he's saying, he's doing unorthodox he's doing his own treatment.
I hear.
He's not listening to the standard, the norm.
I reason with that. I mean, I think a person like Aaron Rodgers is definitely looking at a regimen that's more fine tuned.
Yeah.
But I mean, different things like ice. I was doing ice plunges. I was meditating. I was grounding in the morning. I think grounding is extremely important.
What's
You know,
grounding?
Standing
Lay on the ground?
barefoot on the ground, feet to the dirt. Like there's an actual energetic response. You can put your blood platelets. I've never done this, but you can test it at home. Before you wake up, your blood platelets are, when you get
Yeah.
all clumpled up, and it will remain that way pretty much for as long as you need, or for as long as they will. But when you put feet to earth, something happens, like almost like grounding and something electrical. I couldn't give you the whole scientific breakdown of it, but they say 8 minutes of it in the morning just shifts your entire mood.
He's laying bare ass to the ground.
Bare ass. I got this little spot where the cheeks are actually cut out in the yard. I just kind of lay down there.
Hey,
Sean's spot's right next to me. It's a little deeper.
dude, but that's what Aaron Rodgers' point. He's like, I'm going to do it how I want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's working. I think
Dude,
everyone's body's different.
Everyone's body's different, and they're trying to feed and they're trying to put opiates in your system. And I tell you what, they prescribed me a 30 days worth of a double dosage of that. Oxy
Yeah.
or not Oxycontin. That's all.
Oxycodone.
Oxycodone,
Yeah.
codeine. And dude, 2-3 pills of that.
Oh, you're laid out.
Yeah, you're just like, I get why people love it. And I didn't have any more.
Yeah.
I think I had it to go to sleep the next night, and this was post surgery. So
Yeah.
I'm still like bleeding. It's icky, like, and so just that second, and then after I'm done. Like that's
Dude, it's I was the same way. My wisdom teeth pulled about a year ago, and I only had one painful day. It was like right after that night. So I took one, and dude, it knocked me out so bad. Like I was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how anyone would. This is just me. I don't know how anyone would enjoy. That's just me. I mean, everyone.
I think it's the enjoyment.
different.
I think it's the enjoyment of the relief. I don't.
Maybe.
I think that's where the extremes of painkillers comes in.
Maybe.
Because it's actually, it is doing what it's supposed to do at a very extreme level.
Yeah.
It's masking that pain that you're in.
And I guess it becomes an addiction when you keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't like. And look, I had a day of pain. I got my wisdom teeth pulled. I didn't.
Yeah.
Wasn't anything serious.
But they probably prescribed you almost a week or two's worth.
Oh, dude, yeah. It was.
They're ready for you to rock and roll into it.
It was at least a week.
I had my 30-day appointment with my doctor, and I was still on my knee scooter and everything like that. I was rolling around. But he's like, do you need another prescription? I'm like, no. I
No,
don't.
yeah.
I couldn't even see myself using it past 7 days. Definitely didn't use it past 2 days.
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
imagine a month's worth.
Yeah.
Because you're not in that amount of pain anymore where you need
Yeah.
that. But yet you may be at a point where you're like, man, I want that feeling.
And there's probably
And that sucks.
minor stuff like what I had, and yours was a little bit more serious than mine.
A little different.
But didn't even need it. Like don't even. I'm good. Like
Yeah.
unless you call and complain. But that's what they initially gave you. They didn't ask you.
No.
Here's a prescription. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very strange.
Will they get paid more, or are at least very, very much scrutinized for how many prescriptions you're
Yeah,
writing?
yeah.
That's very public information. That
Healthcare is a profit, man.
ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
Why is it we're only now in the last, I feel, 2-3 years having these conversations around healthcare is a business?
COVID, dude. You know
COVID.
what? Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
look,
The Pfizer and thing, everything that popped off.
they again, healthcare is a business. If the hospital's not full, they're not making money. That's how I see it. I don't know. It's, during COVID, those hospitals were packed,
Yeah.
and
But why are we? But I hear you on that. But it seems those facts are becoming talked about more publicly and
Yeah.
more often now about how our healthcare systems are for profit. You look at our food and what's being put in it, like these fluoric acids and different forms of synthetic vitamins. And you talk about fluoride in water.
they don't
and
allow
now-
that in other countries.
Oh my God, there's like 24 or
The
26.
ingredients and
something like the mid-20s.
bag of
There's-
chips here is
Yeah.
way different than in
Yeah, something in the
England or
mid-20s
Europe.
of different supplements, vitamins, and mixtures that we have in America that are literally illegal in other countries. Is
Well,
that-
and I think when you see companies posting record profit,
oh my gosh.
and like for example, my wife's
Bring that mic.
my wife's health insurance, you know, just went up. So, you know, we're paying for a family of 5, $1,800 a month. And then we go to the doctor and still have to pay, you know, $100 copay. And you're like, what am I paying for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think people are starting to say, like, just question it in general. And then you see on the news record profits for certain companies. And, you know, I think people are starting to get pissed.
Well, consumer spending is helping that because our consumer
Yes.
spending is at record highs, all while our record debt is climbing.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
household debt climbing, all while our consumer spending climbing. All
I didn't
while,
realize it was that bad till you wrote it on the board during one of your meetings about how high it got. I didn't realize it had gotten that high.
Which our credit card debt?
Yeah, consumer debt. Yeah.
Oh, consumer debt. Yeah, and it's climbing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like the average person
And rates are up
on
so they're,
everything,
you know,
not
they're-
just houses.
On some of those cards, they're paying 30%.
Which is crazy. So, and that's unfortunately where a lot of people think this is going to lead is we're in a tight financial situation right now. Affordability is not getting any better, and that's because inflation has gone high, interest rates have gone high, and everything. Borrowing money as a personal loan for a boat, credit card, a house, it's all more expensive. And jobs aren't increasing income
Yeah.
to match living costs. Electric, eggs, you know,
Yeah.
all these things are more expensive. If you boil it all down and look at rates, you may say, "Oh, well, rates have been this high before." You know, back in 2001, they were 8%. Well, the median home today is much different from back then. It was $120,000
Yeah.
then. It is now over $350,000.
Yeah.
That's a significant difference.
Yeah.
You're talking about an under $100,000 mortgage payment, close to over $300 or $3,000 mortgage payment.
Yeah.
We're-
And the wage difference was different.
the wage
Yeah.
difference significant.
It's only the prices have gone up 300%.
Yeah, that's
but
what- yeah,
it's
yeah,
only
yeah.
like 10% in earnings.
The wage
Yeah.
difference is
Something
not
that's not the
significant.
exact
Yeah. It's-
statistic, but it's average salary.
It's gone from
very minuscule.
It's gone from mid-30s to high 40s.
Yeah, something like
per
that
person. Yeah,
But
it's
the
gone from
average
mid-30s
price
to high
has gone
40s.
up a couple $100,000.
Yeah,
something.
it's dramatic, and that's for cars.
Yeah.
That's for everything. and here's what scares me, Mark. What's people's next line of defense when you can't pay for groceries? The first line of defense.
Credit cards.
Credit cards. That's the first thing people go to. And you're absolutely right. Rates are high. And if you're looking at Gen Z millennial who maybe, let's say you got your house and came up well, decent enough at a right enough time, and this is the first like financial pain you've hit. And this is the first time where you've had to look at how am I going to pay things. And this is the first time you've applied for a credit card. So now your only option is this thing that holds 28, 30, 50,
Yeah.
or 15%, even higher is crazy. Like you used to be able to get 11, 12, 13% no problem. Now getting anything below 20 is crazy.
It's hard, yeah.
All these people are putting their money on credit cards.
Yeah.
If you can't afford your utility bill, if you can't afford groceries, if you can't afford the gift for your birthday party for your kid, like if you can't afford the $25 to put down for the field trip, like there are things in life as adults, as parents, as husbands, wives, coworkers at companies where you got to pay for the gas to get to your job. And the first line of defense is that credit card. And we're penalizing people for already being penalized.
Yeah,
And so when does the piper get paid on that?
I know.
And it's going to happen.
Then it's going to go to equity in the home. That's the last resort.
That's the one benefit
Yeah.
of the homeowner. They
Yeah.
have equity in the home. But what about the people who don't have equity?
Yeah, I know.
They don't own a home.
Again, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Is that where the line is right now? Like the wealth gap line, homeowner versus not homeowner? Do you think that's where the biggest gap is in net worth?
It's got to be. You know, from what we see on applications, I mean, the people that own a home generally have savings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the home.
Yeah.
You know, the people that don't, you know, unless they're living with family or, you know, parents or something like that, they're scrapping by.
Yeah.
You
Scrapping
know,
by or scraping by?
Scraping by both, whatever.
They're scrapping at junkyards.
They're
getting
scrapping to
metal
survive. You know,
bottles.
it's.
Can you still get 5 cents per bottle that you turn in? That used to be a thing. We used to have we adjusted for inflation on that? That should at least be a quarter now.
Is there
That
still,
should at least be a quarter if I turn in a bottle of Coke.
I don't know, because you don't see. Are people
I
collecting
don't-
cans and stuff like that in bottles?
I don't know. I haven't gone to like a store and bought a bottle of soda or can of soda in a
Yeah.
very long time. I'll drink it in like a mixer in a drink or You slide like
I would say no. You probably can't because most people have the recycling bins. Maybe you can. I don't know.
Maybe we changed that. Maybe we went from we'll give you 5
Sean,
cents.
can you pull that up?
There's so many things I'd love for this to pull up. We'll get it. Next time you come through, it's gonna be episode like 20 to 25. You'll be like, man, this is even better than the first time.
Right.
Well, that's what freaks me out. And goes back to the beginning of the conversation I brought up. I know I sound woo-woo when I bring it up, but like, could our entire economic system, not just the housing market, like if we go back through our crashes, we had an inflationary-based crash in the early 80s. We had a stock market-based crash in the early 90s that also stemmed around oil and war. We had an early 2000s, a crash that happened from the dot-com bubble. We also had some financial turmoil from 9/11, not much. Then we had 2008 through 2011 with the housing market crisis, the only time on record where home prices dropped and stayed dropped for 3, 4, 5 years in most locations. And now we're sitting in our next one, which is seemingly going to be based off of inflation versus income. Is currently what we're seeing is like the value of our dollar is diminishing much faster than we're being given more of it to suffice.
Yeah.
If that continues, it could crash everything, not just a select market like the dot-com bubble, the stock market crash, the housing market crash. I mean, if we're in a world where a police officer and a teacher finally aren't making enough to show up to work and our baseline operations as a society.
I think we're getting there for teachers.
That's what I'm talking. We're
know?
starting to get there. And when you think about AI kicking every worker out of every Royal Farms and Wawa and convenience store in the country in the next 10 years, every truck driver out of their seat in the next 5 years, every data analyst, data input, copywriter, blogger, newspaper author, like we're talking about a large scale of people. I mean, even in the mortgage industry.
Oh yeah, it's way more streamlined than it used to be.
100%. How long does an underwriter last in without AI just taking over that spot?
Well, and it's already being done where instead of client providing bank statements, they put they log in,
they get it, and we just pull it.
We backdoor
we
it.
all just pull it.
Yeah, they give us permission. Same with income. There's some cases where we don't need some documents because we can go directly to the employer without. It's all automated too.
So and going back to that, with all these, we're passing 8 billion people. America, I think we're over 1 billion. I think so. But we have so many things that I could be completely bullshitting on that we haven't verified. But we have all these people, and they're having kids. Population's increasing. We may end up with in a world where we have more homes than we have people to put in them because Gen Z's actually having less kids. At a severe rate.
You're far out though.
I'm talking 10 years,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
My baby girl ain't even graduated from high school yet. I'm not talking too far out. Like, but
yeah, 10 years is going to go by quick. You're right.
Because if you just think of 2013 and 2003.
Yeah.
There's different worlds, but when I look at 2013 to 2003, they're different, but they're not insane. They're definitely different worlds. 2013 to today is like, it almost felt like 50 of those years passed.
Yeah.
Like the same amount of years that happened from 03
Stuff
to 13.
is advanced so quickly.
In every direction. And it seems like it's only going to get faster.
Yeah.
To where the next 10 years is going to be like 500 years worth of technology.
Yeah, and they're saying AI is actually improving itself.
Of course.
And
it's going to find its own faults.
And back to like debt and stuff like that, I mean, I think
from AI taking over the world, let's get back to debt.
Well, no. What I was going to say was, I mean, you're right, but it's more than just. It's a combination of things. Like until like your individual household says, "Hey, we don't need to go out to eat. We don't need to splurge on Christmas." You know what I mean? There's always we need to use our credit cards because we don't have. People are spending way more than they're making. You know what I mean? And then you have the social media effect on that. They see Joe Smith buying a new car and they blast it on Facebook. Everyone's trying to keep up with each other, which isn't good for
I hear you.
For individual households. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be competitive spending, which is stupid. But people do it subconsciously anyway, even if they say
but I think it's worse because of social media. I mean that. And back then when you bought a car, nobody knew about it. Now you scroll down Facebook.
You should hit the table more.
You scroll down on Facebook. you can find people that just bought a house or bought something that they don't need. You know what I mean? And I guess my point is you have to kind of take control of your household and say, look, we gotta cut back and reduce because
But hear me, Mark.
or that debt's gonna keep
all right,
going up.
Let's play a little bit of the generational difference though. I get it. There was a time where let's go back to when you got rocking in 2007.
Okay.
You talk about beer money and things like that. Getting started in a household, 2007, if you made $2,500 to $3,000, $2,500 to $3,000, you were probably surviving, right? You're probably doing all right.
Yeah.
You had an $8,000 month. You were like, all right,
Correct.
We're solid. We're good.
Yeah.
I'd argue, and again, we don't have the numbers to pull up, but I'd argue in today's day and age, if you're living on your own and you're not at least making $5,000 to $6,000, it's going to be tough to do what you were doing.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
So I guess my point was
Which is double.
correct.
And we haven't seen even
And-
10% increase in
correct.
income when we need to see double.
I agree. But I guess my point is
There are some people who can do, to finish your point, if I'm hearing you correctly, just to clarify, there are people out there who could qualify for
Correct.
a better financial that are overspending.
They're choosing
and
not
splurge-
to.
And they're choosing. And I agree with you on that. There's
Hey.
always going to be people in that category. Starbucks. But I don't think grounding your coffee at home versus getting Starbucks is the difference between you getting a house or not.
That's a very tiny one. I'm talking about.
But it is a behavioral trait, not to say this is for you, but that is one behavioral trait that oftentimes, if you do say, hey, I'm not going to get Starbucks this morning, I'm going to make
Correct.
it at home, yes, that may only be a $5 difference, but it also then makes you think, maybe I don't need all 5 streaming
Correct.
services. Maybe I don't need to get Burger King right now. Maybe.
Yeah.
And you slowly, and all of a sudden now you're saving $200 a month. And because we posted a video about that the other day. It was Patricia. She had said something like starting with $20 and then 30 and 50,
Yeah.
and then she stopped. And then the person commented, $50 isn't going to help me buy. Dog, we
You're
stopped.
missing the point.
20,
Yeah,
you
you're missing the
start
point. Yeah.
with something.
Yeah.
And because no one's just going to drop and say, I could save $500 in my budget per month.
Correct.
Anyone's going to tell you, no, I don't have $500 in my budget. Probably.
Exactly.
It's already being utilized.
You gotta, and I get, yeah, you're.
But it's there.
And not only for the one person household, but the family household. Like you're gonna get to a point where you got to start sacrificing. You know, we don't need to go out to eat, or we don't. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I guess my side point was social media does not make it easy, man. I'm telling you. Just really start paying attention what people
It doesn't
are
make it
posting.
easy in a lot of ways because we're also getting full access to the fact that everybody else sees. I'll put it this way. Back in 2008, as an 8th grader, all the way until I graduated high school, you could not have told me what the actual influence of what was going on with that crash actually was. How much it was drastically affecting people. I didn't know.
You didn't really need to know.
If I was in school today, though, I'd be fully understanding of what's going on. Because of social media.
Yeah.
So I think kids and high schoolers are taking on a lot more of the world's stressors before they need to.
I am so happy I grew up when I grew up.
Oh my God, you didn't know anything.
Didn't know anything.
You knew, and this is crazy for me to think about because I guess I experienced this too. I guess I feel like it gets more dramatic the farther you go back. Maybe not. You grow up around the people your parents hang around, the school and the classmates you end up hanging around with based off where you live, and then usually the surrounding homes and the kids that may be in those surrounding homes. The only other people you're hanging around with are people in extracurricular events or if your parents have a friend that happens to have a kid that's a similar age.
Yeah.
That's your upbringing for 16 years, 15 years at least. You've basically formed who you are as a human.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to worry about what was going on in France. You didn't
Correct.
you didn't know a lick about all the craziness that was going on as long as your parents didn't expose you to it, which was a little harder to do back then. But the caveat to it, and here's where I give the thumbs up to the Gen Z side of things, because I kind of get to play on both sides a little bit, is they do see the bullshit, and a lot of them are standing and calling on the bullshit. And are like, we can't keep putting this stuff in our food. I'm just going to... we can't keep doing... Like, they're the ones that are actually unwrapping and looking under stuff and, like, looking into things like, wait, why are we doing it this way? Where I think in the 60s, 70s, 80s especially, you look back, and it's like, whoa. Like, yeah, things were better, but it's because America, the corporation, was doing a very good job at branding themselves towards the population. Number one in the world. We're the best. We're the greatest. We win all the wars. We are the best financially. We're doing this great. We invented this. We're going to the moon. And it was all this closed system of information.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you.
I think we've broken that.
It's nice to have that, but what I don't like about the Gen Z era is what you're saying.
Era or error?
Era, whatever. They don't.
The Gen Z error.
Error and era. I feel like they don't look at history either.
I disagree. I feel they know more about history than most people that are. I feel when with history they know so much more about a lot.
Well, I think there's difference between reading about it than actually going through it. So, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
history
saying,
in what way? History is such a bland term.
Just
overall can cover so much.
Political issues, stuff that happened in the past with wars and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get into specifics. I feel like they read about it or they see something on social media that they agree with, not necessarily know too much about, and then they feel like they should post something about it, and they don't know. I feel like you have to have lived through it to be able to have a legit opinion on it. Okay. It's one thing if you're reading about it and you're keeping it to yourself, but when you're trying to push your opinion,
in an uninformed
way,
an uninformed opinion.
You're reading one side, you're not looking at both. Yeah. And look, it's great. Like it's like you said, it's good and bad that what's going on in Israel and Hamas and all that. And we were lucky that we wouldn't have known at all, because we weren't glued to a phone. But it's bad in a sense where, I don't think you should try to influence other people. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? When you don't grasp it completely, like you don't, and it's a hard topic, it's.
So a lot of people, like you had said, that because of social media, they follow the popular
trend. Yeah, they follow and that goes back to the debt thing. Like I said, oh, Sean got a new car. You know what? I need to get a new car. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But going back to what you just said, I think it can be very granular. I could tell you, there's been plenty of things that were controversial or polarizing that would fly around on social media 2-3 days, and 2 or 3 days would go by before I really have any idea what's even going on.
Yeah,
and I think that's what you're talking about. Those people who get behind an opinion either because a group of their friends or like-minded people already agree on it, and so they think they should agree on it.
That's exactly my point.
And that social media has created that a lot.
Yeah.
Because starting off in Facebook, I don't know if people remember, like you would like pages just based off of like things. Like I remember like this page if you're talking to the back of your fan that make your voice sound funny.
Yeah,
and everyone was like, oh my God, we all do that?
Yeah.
Like it was little things like that. And like I think that level of like, oh my gosh, do you rub the weird stuff on the furniture that makes that makes it go a different direction to make little pictures out of it? Yeah, I do that too. Like, I think that level of thinking from social media has just evolved. Has just evolved to the point like, wait, your uncle died from opiates after having no addiction.
Exactly.
Prior to? Wait, mine too. Like, and now we're just. That's where I think Gen Z has done such an incredible job, and maybe it would have been any generation that grew up with all the information that we have. But there's a lot of people. And I'll point to an older generation. It's not all the same way that not all young view things a certain way either. But I think in the populace, there's an older generation that is used to relying on the information that is fed to them through news outlets, through newspapers, through whatever. And a lot have upgraded to the phone, but my dad still scrolls reels through Facebook.
Yes.
And like, so it's still a Mark Zuckerberg fed news source.
100%. And the news is so polarizing. Like you got one end, it's just
anger.
There's just they feed you, and they feed you what you want to hear, and it's a weird time, man. Because then if you go online, it's the same thing. Like if you click on one specific topic, that's all you're gonna get until you click on a different topic. You know what I mean? It's crazy how that works.
And then you don't even know what to believe.
And then one thing you're like, shit, I have this opinion that I don't even.
Dude, I have to catch myself like that.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I'm like, wait a
I'll
second,
have an
pump the
opinion
brakes.
based off of a TikTok video I watch. I'll start to say something and be like, Doug, you don't know what the hell you're talking
like,
about. Like, you have no information on the subject other than this.
Yeah, and then you click on the guy or whoever, and you're like, why am I listening to this? I
I
don't
had
like
one guy-
pineapple and ham on my pizza.
I had one guy I followed. I can't remember his name. I followed him like almost at his fall. It was like a month before his fall. This big dude,
Yeah.
he's burly, and I was just about to get into my bulk phase. Coming out of the winter, ended up getting into more of a trim. Was starting my bulk in June, and then I fell and broke myself. So this winter's the bulk.
Was it the caveman guy, the guy that only eats the...
The guy that only ate liver, and he was claiming like if you eat
Liver
liver
King.
and juices,
Liver King.
Liver King. And I just started following
was that
him.
who you were...
Dude, and I was listening to him, and he's like talking about, and the breakdown of this in your body does this. I'm like,
But who called him out? Didn't someone call him out?
somebody, I don't know.
Rogan was always calling him out.
Rogan had always been calling him out. Andrew Huberman's probably one guy. He's like a human biologist. There's a lot of people.
Just
I
jacked.
just started following Gary Brecka, who's a great human biologist. There are legit sources that you can listen to and trust. But there's so many people out there like the Liver King.
Yeah, that-
just throwing, hey, eat liver from cows and
Eat
pigs.
ball testicles.
And you're gonna get large. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense. No, you need a caloric. You need a caloric increase
Yeah.
over what your maintenance level is. You need to eat a certain amount of protein, fat, carbs, macros.
You can't be that... He was kind of bulky and
Oh
big
yeah, the
and
end of the
have
story
abs
is
like
he
that.
had
Yeah.
insane amounts
Yeah,
of steroids in
yeah,
his system.
yeah.
So much HGH.
I was
in
gonna
his
say you're
veins.
right. I haven't seen anything because I would watch it for strictly entertainment. I'm like, this guy's about to eat a duck eyeball or something weird
Well,
for
because
the
he started,
protein or something.
I think he had started selling or was going to start.
Yeah, he started selling stuff. Yeah.
like stuff that was like a supplemented version of what he was doing, so
Yeah.
it wasn't disgusting. So I was
Yeah,
sitting
yeah,
there
yeah.
thinking like, oh well, this guy's doing it. Like, and I hadn't done any research. Now, I'm at this point in my life definitely, and this was only over the summer. I would think I would have done the same thing. I'm researching anything before I'm buying it. But just
Yeah.
in that split moment, if you would have pulled me aside into another conversation and someone else had seen it and they were saying, well, I was thinking about ordering their supplements, I'd be like, this guy's thinking about ordering the supplements too. Maybe I should order the supplements. And then I hear somebody else talking about, man, I'm trying to get bigger. And I'm like, well, I'm actually about to order these supplements and blah, blah, blah. Now they're hooked.
That's the social media
And they don't
effect,
even
yeah.
know why they're hooked.
Yeah.
They're just hooked. And before you know it, there's this whole supplement
Yeah.
line that's based off of bullshit.
yeah.
And social media is definitely. Did that happen? In like what? How other than chain mail in the '90s? Like how would that happen
TV.
before social media? TV.
Stuff like that didn't happen. Like you weren't listening to a guy.
But there was propaganda happening. You just didn't know it
Yeah.
was happening.
Yeah, I was probably too young, but in like college, you know, so the internet was big when I was in school. But you know, you did have online.
When was the internet big?
So-
like when were you like, whoa, internet?
I remember when I was when I just got my driver's license is when they actually had a class on the internet in high school where they would like show you how to use the internet. So that's how stuff spread then, but it wasn't as extreme and in your face as it is today, you know. And my kids ask what a commercial is. They're like, "What am I watching?" I'm like, "It's an ad." Like
They didn't know what.
they don't know what
How
they,
old? Just so
5.
5.
We were watching something on YouTube, and it went from like, you know, they have the ads in between those weird shows that the kids watch where they're opening up toys and
The
they're like
unboxings?
glued to it. Yeah, they're like glued
Dog, I
to
rock
it.
with unbox. Listen, if there was, I feel for it because if there was like a YouTube creator when I was a kid, when I was like,
Oh, yeah.
like if I was like 11 and I found someone who like unboxed Yu-Gi-Oh cards,
100%.
man, I'd be there every day.
100%. But then an ad came up. He was like, "What happened?" He was like, he thought I changed the channel or changed it. And he was like, put whatever,
Movie.
Ryan, whatever he's called back on. And
Ryan, whatever it's called.
Ryan's World or whatever. And then I was like, no, this is a commercial.
I love how involved you are.
This is a
knowing what
commercial.
it's like.
It's like, dude, like there's ads here. Like this is what I grew up with.
Yeah.
13 channels, and you had to watch 3 minutes of ads in between.
To watch 3 minutes of ads for a kid's
Whatever,
show?
90 seconds. I don't remember, but
When you think about it commercial wise, 90 minutes is a long time, or 3 minutes is a long.
It's a
time.
while, yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
a typical commercial break, isn't it? Like 2 to 3
dude,
minutes.
have you ever watched a full football game?
Yeah.
I remember growing
Oh
up.
no! I watch Red Zone. I don't watch. I don't watch commercials.
okay, so or you know, when I was growing, I remember football games going by quick.
Yeah.
Like you weren't in front of it for 4 hours
yeah, now-
or
oh, yeah,
3 hours.
three and a half
now there's
hours
so
now,
many
yeah.
commercials and shit.
Yeah. Well, we got to wrap up. We're already over an hour.
Let's do it again.
We do need to do
I want to do. We don't have to do it now.
You're about to hit the table again.
I want to do the overrated, underrated for Delaware. Next time
we'll have some of those prepped.
Yeah.
We'll get a good list of 20. Maybe we'll put them all on the screen.
Yeah.
I want to do indigenous, unindigenous with you. Maybe we'll get Patrick in here by
Let's
that
do
point.
it.
Maybe we'll get multiple shoots to get them up on the screen because I've been struggling with figuring out what's actually lives in Delaware.
Let's do it, dude. I'm in.
But someone wants to connect with you. How should they reach out to you?
You can page me or fax me. No. Cell 302-531-5400.
What's your
Sean, put it on the board.
what's your pigeon's name for the pigeon name?
Billy.
Billy the pigeon. All right, man.
All right,
Appreciate you.
dude. Good seeing you.
Yes, sir.